Once again, plenty of breaking news tonight. Moments ago, the Senate overwhelmingly passed the Criminal Justice Reform Bill. And just hours ago, the White House finally banned bump stocks. You know, we all learned the ugly reality of what they can do in Las Vegas. That's what the sniper used. And the Space Force moved a step closer to a reality tonight. Those are all positive things the president could have been talking about. But what's he focused on? Attacking our justice system, shuttering his foundation for bad business practices, and the theory that Flynn was railroaded, even though it just got blown up in court. Big blows to the story that the president is selling to you. What's the impact? Let's bring in Angela Rye and Scott Jennings for a great debate. You know, it's really interesting, Angela. I've been making the case to our audience. The president is not preparing for a legal battle. He's preparing for a political fight where he's going to try and shape what people think about what's brought out as fact. And that's the only thing I can figure out about this letter of intent. He knows that we reported that he signed it. He knows that we're going to find the letter, so I had it. Why put out that, oh, Michael Cohen had a letter that he signed? Why would his lawyers say this weekend there was a letter, but no one signed it? What do you make of it?
Well, I think it's more of the same, Chris. I think we've seen over and over again this president's inability or lack of desire to tell the truth. At every turn, and you just went over it in the last segment, at every turn, anything wearing or bearing the Trump's name is running into legal trouble, whether it's in a civil court or it's in a under criminal investigation, whether we're talking about the Trump Organization or Trump University or the Trump Foundation now, right? At every single turn, anything attached to Donald Trump is embattled and under severe, not just attack, but under investigation. And I think there's something to be said for that. You called it the new normal. I reject that. It's the new abnormal. It couldn't be more abnormal, and we should continue to ensure people understand this is not okay. It's not a good thing. And I think one other note, you brought up the First Step Act. We should note that our colleague, Van Jones, has worked diligently on this in spite of what Donald Trump has demonstrated himself to be. And this is a big victory for him. But maybe Donald Trump knew he would need criminal justice reform, and that's why he signed on to this.
Well, look, you know, the point is, though, Scott, he had good news to talk about today.
Yeah.
Bump stocks is a big deal. Criminal justice reform, more has to be done, but it's a good first step, as the act implies. Even the Space Force, yeah, I know fiscal conservatives will be like, we're more government, but whatever, there's an ambitiousness to it. He ignores all of it and attacks what's happening in the probe, even though he had a bad day on the facts.
Yeah, I'd like to see the president get focused on the good news on a routine basis now that he's actually in cycle. I think he has to reconfigure his thinking. He's headed towards his own reelection, and when you're headed towards your own reelection, you can't let the days where good news is possible go by without the notice from the White House. If you're going to run as an incumbent and run as someone who's kept promises, run as someone who's got a positive track record of results, you have to actually trumpet those results. I'm glad the First Step Act passed tonight. I'm glad it did so with the White House's support, with Jared Kushner's support, with the Senate Republican leadership support. It's a really good achievement, a bipartisan achievement, and I think the Republican Party, led by Donald Trump, can fairly take credit for bringing many disparate sides together to finally get something done. But as you point out, there'll be other things that dominate the news today other than that, which is unfortunate. The president's team has got to get him focused on these days where you really have something to tout it, and don't let other things distract you.
Right, but look, I'm just saying, you know, the idea, what they like to say is you guys never focus on the good news. It's not true. I do it all the time, but I'm not going to disrupt the President of the United States with what he thinks is important. And today, Sarah Sanders went out of her way to say we're not backing off the idea that Flynn was entrapped. How can you not back off it when the general himself said several times in open court, it didn't happen, it didn't happen. I own it, I admit it, I knew what was going on, I knew all the rules, I was not entrapped. Why do they say they're not backing off?
Is that for me?
Yeah,
no, it's not for you. It's for Scott. Go ahead. Why not?
Oh yeah, look, they got it. They got to let this guy. They got to let this go. This guy lied. He admitted that he lied. You know, we can debate the circumstances of the interview all we want, but that doesn't change what Flynn said in court today. They've got to let this guy go. They've got to cut it. Look, when they fired him, they said, well, we had to fire him because he was a liar. He lied to the vice president. They need to cut this loose and understand that in an investigation like this, in a situation like this, you don't want to draw your principal closer to the bad actor. You want to separate this person from the bad actor.
But
And
the
in this
narrative
case,
is so
Flynn
important.
is the bad actor.
The corrupt intent narrative, as false as it may be, is so important, so central to this White House that they don't let it go, even when the man they're pinning it on says in open court, it's not true. And we see it also with what happened with the foundation today, Angela. This is for you. 17 investigations, all bogus, all bogus. And yet he's shuttering his foundation in a firestorm of allegations that are ugly. The sitting president of the United States may be banned from sitting on the board of a charity for a decade. Talk about the new normal, the new abnormal, whatever you want to call it. It's crazy sauce, and there are no rules for us to how to process it.
Crazy sauce is the nicest thing you can call this, Chris. I think what's interesting is their response to the foundation finally being shut down is we've been trying to do this since 2016. Yeah, you were trying to do this kind of like you've been trying to do Donald Trump's tax returns without any type of accountability or oversight. And so the reality of it is now there's someone saying this is how this actually has to be shut down. This is why. You were funneling money to your campaign. Remember the big publicity stunt during the campaign where they were raising money for veterans instead of him going to debate? That was a stunt to raise money for his campaign. They funneled resources to his campaign after that. So again, I cannot emphasize this enough. Whether we're talking about what happens at Mar-a-Lago, whether we're talking about what happens in Trump organization, at the Trump Foundation, at Trump University, which was also shut down. Why? Fraud. They were taking money from unsuspecting students and they filed a fraud claim. They had to pay $25 million. All I'm saying is this isn't just a pattern anymore. This, I don't know what, I think he's running, I don't know, like a mob boss. It's not the White House. He's not the commander-in-chief. He is a mob boss. It's not even the apprentice. It's like he wants to be the new star of power on Stars. I guess, I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, Scott, look, what seems pretty clear is they are gearing up for the political fight of his life. They don't think they're going to be in a courtroom. They don't think they're going to have to be face-to-face with Mueller. It's not going to be about a legal struggle. It's going to be about PR. That's the only explanation I have for why they'd fudge the facts about the letter of intent. It makes no sense. Why say he didn't sign it? Why suggest that some Fox reporter was talking about a letter that Cohen signed? Why distract from something that I can hold in my hand and show to my audience? Why set yourself up for that?
Yeah, they need to prepare for both fronts. I mean, they are going to have a PR fight, of course, but they may have a legal fight. We don't know what legal fights they are or not going to have on a number of fronts. So my advice would be to gear up on both fronts. You cannot assume you're not going to have a legal fight over this or several other issues. I actually think there's a possibility they may have already indicted the president on the Cohen campaign finance issue and just put it under seal. Which, you know, could come out. So I am worried about what legal fronts they may face. This doesn't absolve them of needing to prepare on the PR side. Any White House is going to prepare a communication strategy to put their principal in the best possible light. But this legal front is not going away, and they're going to have to win it as much as they win the PR battle.
The irony is that they are basically making the decision that the facts don't matter. We're going to fudge it. We're going to go for it. And as long as the people wind up on our side and the poll numbers show that they don't really want impeachment, we're going to be okay. The irony is the lying may be exactly what triggers consensus in this country about what they feel is too much coming from the President of the United States. Angela, Scott, thank you very much. Appreciate the arguments, as always.